Hello students, welcome back to Daily Current Affairs of 7th of July. So these are the important articles for today. The first article is very important. So here we shall be discussing how are terrorists designated under UAPA in India. So we shall be discussing in detail. Next article is about web death trend. A drug. So here we shall be discussing an important drug related to cancer therapy. Finally, next article is about white gut disease in the shrimps, especially in the region of Andhra Pradesh. Next, we shall be discussing the important decision of Supreme Court, important judgment which is related to right to work from The Hindu. And finally, we will be discussing the inclusion of INS Mahendragiri in the Indian Navy. Yes, so let's start with our first topic. So here we shall be discussing how terrorists are designated under UAPA. So first thing is that what is the context, why this thing was in news, why we are discussing this. So the reason is recently the government of India have designated 23 Pakistan-based individuals as terrorists. And they were designated as terrorists under this act, that is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, that is UAPA. So UAPA 1967 is the primary act under which any organization or any individual can be designated as terrorist. So since this was the news, since 23 individuals were designated as terrorists, so it becomes important for us to discuss this act and to discuss the process through which any organization or individual can be designated as terrorist. So first of all, let's discuss about UAPA. So full form is Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. This act came in 1967 and this is the India's primary anti-terror law. Now what will be the objectives? So the very normal objectives of any anti-terror law. What will be the objectives? To protect the sovereignty and integrity of India, right? To prevent any terrorist activities, to curb the terrorist financing and to stop the related what we can say the related organized crimes which are related to terrorist financing, and finally a ban on terrorist organizations. So these are some of the basic features, some of the basic objectives of UAPA in India. Now what is very important thing for the exam is the ministry. This act is administered by which ministry, or which ministry would be taking important steps under this act. So that ministry will be Ministry of Home Affairs. Please remember for the exam. Yes. Now, this act came in 1967. So earlier, before 2019, in this act of 1967, only terrorist organizations could be designated as terrorist. But after 2019, we got an amendment. So we got an amendment in 2019. So before 2019, only organizations could be declared as terrorist. After that, what happened? Central government then can designate organizations as well as individuals as terrorist. So please remember, before 2019 amendment, only an organization, only a group of people could be designated as terrorist. But after 2019, a single individual can also be designated as terrorist. That's why in the context we discussed that 23 individuals have been designated as terrorist. Now, on what basis central government can designate any organization or any individual as terrorist? So there are some criteria. For example, if they commit the crime of terrorism, or any person participates in that crime of terrorism, or that person is involved in the planning or promotion, anything which is related to terrorism, that person, so for that person, central government can designate as terrorist. Next thing is, let's discuss about the procedure, that what is the procedure. This will become very important for the exam. What will be the procedure? So procedure we will be discussing under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. So first step will be the securities agencies in India, for example IBR or any other security agency. These agencies, first of all, they will submit the evidence to the government of India, that based on this evidence we can say that this organization or person is a terrorist. So first thing, you will be submitting the evidence to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Then comes the second step, that if that person thinks that government has designated me as terrorist, but this is wrong, then that person can raise an objection, and that objection will be examined by the review committee which will be constituted by the central government. After that, if the final decision is taken, if the government is satisfied that that person or organization is a terrorist, then that thing will be notified in the government gazette. And finally, there will be schedule listing. Schedule listing means if we are talking about the individual, so the person's name will be added officially to the 4th schedule of this act. Understood? Please remember. So here we discussed that individuals can be designated as well as organizations can be designated. So consider that, for example, individuals are designated as terrorists. So their name will be mentioned under 4th schedule of UAPA. Please remember, if we are talking about the individuals, so their names will be mentioned under 4th schedule. If we are talking about the organization, so name of organizations will be designated under 1st schedule of UAPA. So now I think you got a basic idea how everything works. Now let's discuss next heading, that can a person challenge the decision. So I think in the image only we discussed that yes, a person can challenge. If the person is not satisfied by the decision of the government, person can challenge. That thing will be reviewed by the review committee, which will be set up by under the central government. So this thing will be done by a review committee. So now a related topic is that what is the difference between designating a person as a terrorist and the final conviction of a person because he or she is a terrorist. So if we talk about the designation, so designation can be done by the central government, right? But if we talk about the conviction, so conviction is the final decision which is taken by a judicial body, that is the court. So here central government can designate, but conviction will be done by the courts. Next thing is, if under designation, person can be listed as a terrorist under UAPA, but under the conviction, a person is found guilty after the trial. Conviction can happen only if that crime is proven, and designation can happen as per the will of the government if government thinks that based on evidences that this person is a terrorist. And finally, if a person is designated as a terrorist by the central government, it does not mean that imprisonment will happen. But if that person is found guilty, then guilty by the court, then imprisonment can obviously happen. Yeah, yes. Now coming to second very important article, and this article is about Vebdigestrant drug. This drug is related to the cancer therapy in India. So please focus on the details in which we will be discussing. So see, if we talk about the context, so context is the US Food and Drug Administration has approved this drug for treating, please focus, ER positive, HER2 negative, ESR1 mutated advanced or metastatic breast cancer after progression on endocrine therapy. So these are the things which are related to a particular kind of breast cancer, and this drug will be acting on all these kind of on cancer, which will be having all these kind of properties. So we will be discussing what are these properties and why this approval is significant, because this is world's first FDA approved PROTAC medicine. PROTAC medicine means any kind of medicine which will destroy the protein which is causing the cancer. So first thing is, one thing what medicines can do, medicines can block the protein which is causing the cancer. That means protein is present inside the body, but we are blocking it. So it is not acting inside the body. Second thing is, you will entirely destroy the protein. So nothing is there to block or anything. So PROTAC is that kind of medicine which will destroy the disease causing protein instead of blocking it. Because in traditional medicines, we block that protein. Now, so let's start the discussion how all these things happen. First of all, here we are discussing a particular type of cancer, that is a breast cancer. So here, please focus, what is the meaning of breast cancer? Breast cancer means the uncontrolled cell growth in the breast area. So that is the meaning of breast cancer. Now, in context, we discussed many things. First thing, we discussed about the ER positive cancers. So here ER positive cancers are the type of cancers which are happening with the help of hormone, and that hormone is the estrogen. Understood? So there are basically two type of cancers. First type of cancer is, yes, so first type of cancer is which is having a protein, and name of that protein is HER2. So cancers mainly happen because of the presence of this protein, but sometimes cancer can happen because of the presence of hormone. Name of that hormone is estrogen. Understood? So that's why this type of cancer we are saying HER2 negative. That means in this type of breast cancer, HER2 hormone is not present. This type of cancer will be caused by estrogen receptor hormone. That's why we are calling it as ER positive. Understood? So this type of breast cancer will be caused by estrogen. This type of cancer will not be caused by HER2 protein. Now, coming forward to the image. So here let's discuss how this estrogen receptor works. So see, if we talk about the receptor in general, so receptor acts like a lock in which any key will fit. Understood? So in that way any type of cancer cell works. So ER here means estrogen receptor. So estrogen receptor are a kind of lock, and in this lock what will be the key? Key will be the estrogen hormone. So when estrogen hormone fits in this estrogen receptor, so this will give a signal for the cancer cells to grow. Understood? What is happening here? Here we are talking about cancer which is happening because of estrogen. So here there will be some kind of estrogen receptors, that means some kind of locks, and if this lock found its key, that key is the estrogen hormone. So if estrogen hormone fits in this lock, then this will give signals for the cancer cells to make more and more cells and to make more and more cancer cells. So this will give a signal. So here, how normal estrogen signal will work? This will be the estrogen receptor, this will be the estrogen key, and if they combine together, it will give a signal for the cell to grow. Now, so this you understood, right? In the context we discussed ER, we discussed ER positive cancer. That means here cancer is caused by the estrogen which fits in the estrogen receptor. Now second thing is the ESR1 mutation. So here basically ESR1 is a gene which produces ER receptor. Understood? Just now we discussed we need a receptor, and for that receptor we need a key. So if this lock and key mechanism works, then cancer cells will grow. Now from where this lock will come? From where this estrogen receptor will come? This estrogen receptor will be produced by a gene, and name of that gene is ESR1 gene. So see, generally what traditional medicines will do, they will lock this estrogen receptor in the body. So if the lock is blocked, no key can fit there. So this is the process of the traditional medicines. So here in that way you will be blocking the lock and no estrogen can fit here. Now what will happen? In this ESR1 mutation, what will happen? So this is the way in which therapies work. But mutation means change in a particular gene. So what will happen when ESR1 gene mutates? Then these traditional therapies will stop working, because these therapies were based on a simple process that ESR gene will produce ER receptor will lock the key. But now change has been happened in this ESR1 gene. So because of that, traditional medicines will not work. That's why we came up with a solution, and name of that solution is a drug, that is vepdegestrant drug. So what this drug will do, instead of blocking the ER receptor, it will destroy the protein only. Understood? So here this drug is seen as a solution. So basically this is an oral targeted anti-cancer medicine. How this will work? See, just now we discussed that we need a receptor for the estrogen to lock. So traditional medicines, they used to lock this receptor. It was present but it was locked. What this drug will do, this will completely destroy that receptor protein only. So now that receptor no longer exists in human body. So whether any mutation happens or not, that protein is not present there. So no cancer can happen. So this is the benefit of this drug. And this drug Yes, and this drug will work on a technology we call as PROTAC technology. So PROTAC technology is a general word. It's not any specific drug. It is a kind of technology. Based on this technology, many drugs can be made. So what will happen here? The full form is proteolysis targeting chimera. So what will happen in this technology? First of all, it will identify the harmful protein. Then it will bring it to the cell's natural protein disposal system, and finally protein will be destroyed. So please remember once again, what traditional medicines will do, they will block the receptor so that estrogen cannot fit in the receptor. But what this technology will do, it will destroy that receptor. No need of blocking. If receptor is blocked, whether mutation happens or not, nothing will happen to the body. So this is the technology. Now, next article, actually it's very small article. This article is related to the white gut diseases in the shrimps, especially in the regions of Andhra Pradesh. So what is the news? News is an alert warning has been issued to the shrimp farmers because of the outbreak of the white gut disease or the white feces syndrome. So please understand, quickly we will discuss what this syndrome is. Yes, so here the simple explanation. So here we are discussing about the shrimps, right? So these are the shrimps. So mainly if it is asked in the paper that white gut disease or white feces syndrome is affecting which kind of species, so that will be shrimps. So here basically what happens, no, in this kind of disease, the shrimps will be excreting this kind of feces. So on the upper surface of the water, you can see white lines, ribbon kind of lines. So those lines are nothing but the feces from the shrimps. So why these all things could happen? Because of some kind of bacterial infection, because of the unhygienic practices, etc., etc. So here, because of these practices, what will happen? Shrimp will suddenly start eating less, they will grow slowly, there will be economic loss for the farmers. Now, if we discuss about the cause of this white gut disease, so basically there is not a single cause, but one of the important cause is the bacterial infections. Because of the bacterial infections, this white gut disease can happen, and their digestive system would not function properly. Next thing is poor water quality or the high organic waste, or the temperature or salinity stress, or the poor management, etc., etc. So because of all these things, this white gut disease can happen. And I think symptoms are very normal. What will be the symptoms? White fecal strings floating on the water. On the upper surface of the water, you can see some white kind of strings. Those will be the feces of shrimps. Reduced feeding, empty or pale gut, slower growth, etc., etc. So I think this was the basic for the prelims. Yes, next thing is, recently Supreme Court has said that right to walk is integral to the modernity in India. So first of all, let's discuss some of the prelims related points, what can be asked on prelims, then we shall be discussing some more things. So what are those things? Recently Supreme Court has said that right to walk on demarcated footpaths is a fundamental right in India. So if right to walk is a fundamental right, you have to remember those articles under which right to walk can be considered as a fundamental right. So this can be directly asked in prelims. So first thing will be, it is a fundamental right under Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause D. What is that article? Right to move freely throughout India. Understood? So here under this article, under Article 19, right to move freely throughout India, right to walk, right to safely walk will also come. Second will be Article 21, that means right to life and personal liberty. So if we talk that right to life is a fundamental right under which two articles? It will be Article 19 Clause 1 Subclause D and Article 21. Now this was the prelims thing. Now let's discuss why Supreme Court has said that walking is a mark of modernity. So see, consider there are two cities, city A as well as city B. So city A have lot of highways, but it does not have any footpaths, or it does not have any zebra crossing, or it does not have any trees, benches, etc. And if we talk about city B, also city B have the highways, but along with that city B have wide footpaths, city B have the zebra crossing, and apart from that it has many trees, it has many benches. So here what city B is doing, city B is focusing more on the humans, city B is focusing more on the lives, but city A is focusing only on the vehicles. So actually if we talk the actual meaning of the modern city or the modern area, this is the actual meaning of modern city. Any place can be considered as modern where the main focus is the humans or the main focus is the human life and other things become secondary. So here you are focusing on the vehicles also, here you are focusing on the human lives also. This is the actual meaning of modernity. So that's why Supreme Court has said that right to work is an important part of modernity. Next thing is why Supreme Court has said, because India is facing a lot of challenges in this respect. What are those challenges? First is the encroached footpaths. So many a times we see that main focus is being given for the roads or the highways, and the nearby footpaths, any stalls will be created or any construction work would be going on. So all these things are happening on the footpaths only. Apart from that, poor pedestrian infrastructure. So not even many cities are focusing on the pedestrian infrastructure. Many cities don't even have the zebra crossing. After that, rising pedestrian road deaths because of this thing only. Finally, vehicle centric urban planning, like we discussed in city A, that more focus is put on the vehicles. Next is the inadequate facilities for the elderly and person with disabilities. So we cannot say that each and every city in India have the universal accessibility. All roads or all areas are not universal accessible in India. So here we have to focus on all these things. Now, next article is related to INS Mahendragiri. So this is the 7th stealth frigate which has been commissioned in Indian Navy under Project 17A. So we shall be discussing some important things about this. So this is the 6th Project 17A indigenous stealth frigate, and this will be commissioned in Indian Navy. Now this I think, yes, so we already discussed that this stealth frigate is a part of Project 17A. So quickly discuss the important things. So first of all, this is named after Mahendragiri in Eastern Ghats, right? So if you see, so actually this was the 7th frigate. Before that, we already have 6 frigates. So please read the name of all those 6 frigates and try to answer in the comment section that before Mahendragiri, what were other 6 frigates. After that, who designed it? So it was designed by Indian Navy's Warship Design Bureau. So this was designed by this Warship Design Bureau. Who built it? It was built by Mazgaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited in Mumbai. So please remember, they were the designers and they were the builders. Yes, before that, please remember, since we are discussing about this INS Mahendragiri, and this is a stealth frigate. So frigate, what is the meaning of frigate? Its meaning, it's a warship, right? So frigate is a warship. Stealth means ability of any ship to reduce its presence or reduce its visibility. So it will not be visible on any radar, or it cannot be easily detected through any kind of technology. Using infrared or magnetic technology, any kind of technology cannot detect these kind of ships. That's why we call it as stealth. So frigate, warship which is not easily visible, that is stealth warship. What are the other features? So it has around 75% of the indigenous content. Important thing for the exam is that this is powered by the combined diesel or gas propulsion system. So see, you have to understand this combined diesel or gas propulsion system. What is the meaning of this? That means this ship will be having 2 kind of propulsion systems. So one will be diesel based, one will be gas based. So it will depend on the type of requirement you are having. For example, if the ship is in the cruise mode at present, that means if the speed of the ship is very slow, then in that case we will be using diesel, because the fuel efficiency will be very high in case of diesel. Now consider the situation of war, and in this war we will be using this frigate. So for war you will be needing very high speed, you will be needing very high push. So in that case we will be using the gas propulsion system. So this is the meaning of CODOG, that means combined diesel or gas propulsion system. Next, let's discuss about other features. So see, since this is a warship, so this warship will be equipped with various kind of missiles, right? So this warship will be acting as a platform for the launching of missiles. So what will be those kind of missiles? It can be equipped with surface to surface missiles, surface to air missiles, electronic warfare systems, different kind of missile technologies, other kind of systems. Now, question for you. The 2090 amendment to a UAPA empowered central government too. So please read these 4 options and try to answer in the comment section. Next, Protect technology primarily works by. So please read these 4 options and try to answer in the comment section. So yes, that's all from my side for today. Thank you and have a nice day.